Well, welcome to the Be Seen, Be Loved TV show. I have a special guest today. So you're in for a really good treat. Her name is Simona Spark, and Simona is a transformational coach, a best-selling author, TEDx speaker. She's also a podcast host, international speaker, course creator, among so many other things. But before anything else, she's a mother who raised her children while moving to many different, like 3 different continents, 6 different states and countries. She's actually moving right now. But Simona is a woman who healed her own story and her journey because she's brave enough to break all the rules. She's committed to make her own rules that align with her desires and her wildest dreams. That's something that we talk about a lot on this show, to really step into your power by using your voice. But Simona stands for people who are ready to raise their voices authentically to create an impact. Her work is about supporting people to break through anything that stands in their way to create their dreams. Simona's direct approach, unfiltered, uncentered, unapologetic communication style will stop you in your tracks and grab your attention to new perspectives that might stretch you in a more expansive experience in life. So there's no hiding, there's no holding back anymore. And Simona is going to tell you all about it. Oh, she's also the best-selling author of Raising My Voice, the memoir of an immigrant. And one of the reasons why Simona's story sparked interest in me is because this show is not just for U.S. women. This show is global, and Be Seen, Be Loved TV show is on Win Win Women. And Win Win Women is a global network, a global enterprise that targets women. And what we do here is we help them to get the tools and the strategies and the support they need to really help them to elevate their lives and their careers. And there's over 4 billion women in this world. And that's why I have Simona here to help those women who, are struggling in many areas and just want more, right? So without further ado, I want to welcome Simona Spark to the show. Hi, Simona.
Hi, thank you so much for having me and for such a beautiful introduction. It's such an honor to be here. I mean, the name of your show already, like Be Seen, Being Loved, right? Because most of the time people don't want to be seen of the fear of not being loved, of the fear of being judged, right? So thank you for creating this space where we could all show up and just give our insight with the intention of helping another sister to just step into her power, really.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being here. And I definitely learned a little bit about your story, but I want to know more. You're an immigrant from what country?
Romania. I was born and raised in Romania. Yes.
Romania, and life wasn't so easy for you, right? Along your journey to where you are now. I know now you're absolutely fabulous. You're doing a lot of big things, you have a best-selling book out, but I would love to for you to share with our listeners what trials and tribulations and things along your path that you went through to help you to get where you are now.
Yes. Well, there is all explained on 256 pages of my book. But it really, this idea of finding your voice and that being, the title of my book, Raising My Voice, it started with realizing that I was not allowed to have a voice. Growing up in Romania, when I was born, was a communist country. So the fear of speaking up was very real and was very founded because people will just disappear with no explanation for having an opinion or for raising their voice against rule or regulations, right? So I grow up basically with that fear embedded in my bones that you're not supposed to have an opinion. You're supposed to just do what people tell you that you're supposed to be doing. And then, there are layers and layers into how we grow up and how we get to be programmed. But also as the youngest of 3, the little one, she never gets her turn because she's too little, she's too young, right? So of course, what that grows into, showing up as a full-grown woman that has no self-esteem, has fear of speaking, has no, self-worth. And then from that place, you just make poor decisions, one could say, looking from outside in, right? But I share that for those of you that you need to hear that whatever happens in your life right now, there is no reason to be ashamed of or to regret. It's just to be compassionate with yourself and understand that everything that you created based on the belief system that you have. The belief system that it's been given to you without your permission since you were born, for your parents, your family, from your teacher, society, so on and so on. So then now we are here, and now we look around and everything is messed up. But guess what? We have the power to change absolutely everything in our life.
Right. And I like how you talked about your upbringing and being from Romania. And, as when I look at other countries and how women are treated in other countries, I feel so bad for them because they're really suppressed, right? And they're very submissive. And they're actually abused and stoned and put into jail. And I see all these awful things for them speaking up. Yeah. But a lot of things aren't all that different in America. I remember, growing up myself as a woman, men would not listen. They would not listen. When I tried to talk, like you said, they would disappear. They turn around, they disappear. And so I felt like I didn't have a voice. And it took me a long time to gain enough courage to really understand that, hey, the words that I have to speak and that my opinions and ideas are important. And so now I demand to be heard. Doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, I can speak to anyone about anything at any time. But it wasn't always that way. And it took me well over 30 years to learn how to transition to the space that I am in now. So how did you transition? Because I know a lot of women are really stuck in that mentality that when a man speaks, you don't have a voice. You shut up, you be quiet, you suppress your emotions, your beliefs, and whatever you're going to talk about is not important anymore.
Yeah.
So
I like that you bring up courage, and it is my belief at this point that we don't need to be brave and we don't need to have courage 24/7. We only need courage for a few seconds when we take that step, when we dare to say that word, when we dare to make known our boundary, right? That's one aspect. And the other aspect that I want to talk to is not that I understood that at that point, but just coming out of the situation on hindsight, you look back and you understand so much, right? Is that whatever the man told me that made me feel whatever made me feel, it's not even his fault. It is my work. It is my inner work of how do I see myself? What do I believe about myself? And that's what, like, the coaching industry pretty much is all the work that we are doing, like coaches, right? To find out who you are, what do you want, what are your preferences, how do you show up in the world? Because when you're very clear of who you are and your own work, a man could say whatever the hell that want to say, it just doesn't move me, right? So, but as you say, it was not always this way. Like when I moved here, first of all, I was a single mom with a kid. My kid was 6 at the time. And I have no family here in the United States, no friends, and we didn't speak any English. So before you know it, I end up in a relationship with a man that want to be in charge and want to be in control and have all the tools to do so. So before you know it, we've been locked in a house, we've been left for days without food, and he gets to do whatever the hell he wants to do with us because I did not feel that I deserve better. I did not feel like the mentality was, well, of course I'm not going to get a job because I don't even speak the language. Well, of course that I'm not allowed to ask for things because he pays the bill, right? There is no way in hell that I will say that these days, but back then I was in that space.
And how did you get out of that situation? I know a lot of women who are married or in a relationship feel that way. You know, if the man's
Mhm.
making more money, the man's paying the bills, they feel like they cannot say anything. They cannot step into their power. They don't have any power, right?
Yeah.
To actually break free. And plus, you had a child, my goodness, on top of that. But how did you break free and start a career and a life on your own and get away from that situation? That's probably one of the hardest things, toughest things to do, is to break free. And,
Yeah.
and on top of that, Simona, you couldn't even speak English and you were new to this country.
Yeah, well, you know how you break free? It's how I say before, you need 1 minute of courage. And for me, that minute of courage was, first of all, I got into the point where I was like, I can't go lower than this in my life. It's been bad. It's been bad. There is an entire, this book is not a bestseller for nothing. It's a real raw story in detail. As I say, there is no secrets here. Everything gets published, right? So it's been bad, but I got into a point like, I can't go lower than this in my life, in my work. What kind of example I set for my kid? Is this how I want to live my life? This is not the reason I moved to United States. I didn't move here to have a man decide how I should live my life, how should I raise my kid. I moved here for new possibilities and to give my child and myself a better life. So it took 1 minute of courage to call an emergency number or 1-800 number to an emergency women's shelter. That's how I got out.
And that's how you
And
got.
then
Well,
the journey starts from there.
mm,
Because in this women's shelter, at least in US, most of the states that I know of, and I've been living in 5 different states so far, is you got in, they take you in and they keep you for a maximum 48 hours until they figure out, you know, what kind of programs are fitting for you, where to move you, how to support you, food stamps, and so on. So there are so many good programs in this country to support, you know, abused women. But in our case, we couldn't access anything. We didn't speak the language. We have no rights. We only have the right to be in a country. I didn't have an authorization for work. All our identification were expired. My kid was about to start school and they didn't know what to do with us. So that 24 hours emergency shelter ended up with being our home for 5 months.
5 months. Oh,
5 months into a building. Three of them, 3 months out of the 5, I was not allowed to leave the building because they didn't know if he's after me and my life was in danger. So it was a different type of prison. Really, I couldn't see the sun because the windows were painted so people from outside could not look in. So I thought that the lower point was when I called the emergency number, but another lower point was like finding myself in a shelter. I'm like, I can't take my kid to school. My kid starts school and I cannot be there. My
there-
kid is speaking fluent English and I don't understand what the hell he's saying. So I dive into a different space, you know, like, okay, I need to learn this language. I don't know how the hell I'm going to do it. I gotta learn this language, right? And I start reading and I start writing. Spelling makes no sense to me a decade ago.
Here is another turning point there, another low point in your life. And again, you said, hey, I need to do something to change this situation. And now this is where I am. So this is the mindset, ladies. This is the mindset that you need to get into. Every time that you're in a situation, you're having a problem that seems overwhelming, that you don't see a way out, there's always a way out, and it revolves around you and the actions that you're willing to take to help move the needle forward. So continue, Simona.
I agree with that 100%. And that's where most of people have hard time when you say being stuck, because they want to find a solution in that stuck situation, and it's absolutely impossible.
Or in someone else and not within themselves.
Yes.
Take responsibility
Yes.
where they are, and understanding that you have to get yourself out of the situation. You have to take some type of action to move forward, to do something, to learn something, a skill, like learning a new language. I don't know what else it could be, learning a new career, getting
everything. And as an immigrant, and
situation.
that's why I subtitled my book, The Memoir of an Immigrant. As an immigrant, you come in with all the knowledge, all the skill that you have, because I have some knowledge and some skills and some credentials when I come into this country. But then they don't really matter. Because if back in Romania, I was the one to do financial consulting and approve mortgages and work for a big European financial group, in here, I was literally cleaning toilets in a gas station. Because if you don't speak the language, nobody's going to put me into a mortgage department in a bank.
True.
Right? So it was a lot of like, but I'm smart, but I'm capable. Why am I doing this job? And then understanding, well, I'm doing this job because it doesn't matter what I have in my brain if I cannot express it. And I get to relearn life in my 30s and relearn and appreciate people the way that I never appreciated before. To feel appreciated for this low job, right? Because we have all these labels, but I have not felt so appreciated in my fancy business suit in a bank as I felt cleaning the toilets in a gas station. So it's changed my whole perspective, and I'm like, wait a minute. And probably that was the seed of my work now, 10 years later, of get rid of all the labels. I don't care about the title. I don't care about the brand of your car. They mean nothing to me. I do care about the person.
And that's an interesting perception, is to